Today on Legally Us, Dwayne Wade fires back at his ex-wife after she accused him of exploiting their transgender daughter. Also, Drake is sued by Vogue, and the California bar reveals Tom Girardi sparked 200 complaints before he was disbarred. We've got that plus so much more on today's Legally Us. Christina Garibaldi here with Neama Rahmani, CEO of West Coast Trial Lawyers and former prosecutor. Welcome to another episode of Legally Us. Neama, we got a lot to get to this week, once again.
Hi, Christina. How are you?
I'm doing good. So we want to kick it off with the story that we were talking about last week about Dwayne Wade and his ex-wife. Well, he fired back after she filed a petition about their transgender daughter, Zaya. He wrote on Instagram, while none of us are surprised by Siobhan's attempt to fight Zaya's identity and her unwavering attempt to drag my name through the mud, I'm very disappointed that she continuously finds ways of centering herself and her needs without regard to her children. This report came out while Zaya was in class. He added that Siobhan tried a similar attempt over a decade ago with equally damaging lies and confusing irreparable harm to their children. And 13 lawyers later, I was awarded sole custody of our two kids as an active NBA player. So instead of actually trying to co-parent over the years, she's left her home to see more lawyers and has taken the time to talk to more lawyers since I filed for divorce. This is, of course, happened, like I said, after she filed this complaint saying that Dwayne Wade was using the daughter to for monetary value to kind of exploit their daughter. And she was saying that she shouldn't make any of these decisions until she's 18 years old. So why did Wayne release this statement and not go to courts, do you think?
So, Christina, sometimes you do things for legal reasons and sometimes for PR reasons. And this was a PR play. Obviously, Dwayne Wade is a public figure. Transgender rights are huge right now. So he wants to make sure that, one, both he's protecting her daughter in the courtroom, but also in the court of public opinion. This is a big deal right now. A lot of folks have very strong feelings about gender identity issues. And this is probably something that was done by Wade's PR team, not necessarily his lawyers.
Got it. Can he sue his ex-wife for anything in this case?
He can, but if you're a public figure like Wade or Gabrielle Union, the last thing you want to do is give that type of spotlight. You can give a platform to someone like Siobhan. I mean, she doesn't have the same following, and by filing a lawsuit and going after her for, defamation or emotional distress or whatever the case may be, it's not necessarily a huge moneymaker, and you're allowing her to have this audience that she otherwise wouldn't have. So I would recommend it both as a lawyer and as someone that is looking out for my client's PR interests.
Now, can Zaya, even though she is a minor, can she sue for, defamation or anything like that, for emotional distress? Can she sue her mother if she wanted to?
You can sue your parent. That's something that's possible. Obviously, it gets a little tricky because you would need a guardian to represent your interests. That would probably be Dwayne Wade. So really, it would be Dwayne Wade suing his ex on behalf of his daughter, Zaya. And since Wade and Zaya's interests are aligned here, I don't think that she's going to need to go ahead and do that. I mean, you have a parent that has that physical custody. They do have that joint legal custody. That's why we're dealing with this issue right now. But I think if you're Zaya, what you want to do is get the relief that you want from the court, allow the court to let you transition over your mother's objections, and then you move on.
Okay. And then, so another family court question, could Zaya, even though she doesn't live with her mother, they have joint legal custody, I believe you said, can she ask to be emancipated from her mother?
So, yeah, I mean, that's the distinction between the legal and physical custody. So Dwayne Wade does have that physical custody. His daughter lives with him. Now, even though she doesn't have that physical custody, she still has rights to have a say in her daughter's decisions, including those medical decisions. That's where that legal custody comes in. So if Zaya wants to emancipate, that's typically something that happens when you want to basically break free from both parents. She doesn't need to do that because she has one parent who's supporting her decision. So I don't think an anticipation petition is necessary in this case.
Got it. And so where do we kind of stand now? I know we talked about it last week about where this case may go, but now after Dwayne's response, where do you think we kind of lay in this one?
Well, Christina, this is one of those new areas of the law, but we're seeing a clear trend where courts are allowing children to transition. This is something that if you asked me 10, 15 years ago, I'd say Probably not, but it's becoming much more accepted. Obviously, it's going to depend on the particular judge and the facts and circumstances of the case. But Zaya even though she's a minor, she's an older minor. And if the court is confident that she's making the best decision for herself and she has at least one supportive parent, I fully expect this request to be granted.
Interesting. All right, let's move on to Vogue versus Drake and 21 Savage, because I don't think Drake's going to be on the cover of Vogue anytime soon, because Condé Nast has filed a $4 million lawsuit against Drake and rapper 21 Savage after they created a faux issue of Vogue with themselves on the cover to promote their new album, Her Loss. So the copies went viral. They were all over social media. They were handed out in major cities. Posters were put up in New York City. And Drake even tweeted along with the cover image, "Me and my brother on newsstands tomorrow. Thanks at Vogue magazine and Anna Wintour for the love and support on this historic moment." Well, I don't know if nobody told Drake, but they didn't have his support. So Page Six reported that Condé Nast sent a cease and desist on October 31st, demanding Drake and his team stop the unauthorized use of Vogue trademark by removing the Instagram posts, seizing any distribution of the magazine, and issuing a public statement clarifying that this was not an actual cover of Vogue. So this was a complete professionally reprinted total reproduction of the October issue of Vogue, with some pages modified to superimpose promotional logos and even superimposing Anna Wintour's face on Drake's. It was a whole big thing. So the court documents say Anna Wintour did not authorize the use of her image to promote defendant's album. So will Drake and 21 Savage, will they have to pay this $4 million in damages?
I don't think I have to pay $4 million, but this is a problem, right? So you have a trademark here in Vogue. You're on notice that this is a trademark, and this is something that Drake and 21 Savage's lawyers should have got involved with right away. It's not something that you can do. I might do, Legally Us every week, but I can't use Us Weekly's logos to promote myself. And not only are you using this trademark, you're using it for a commercial purpose. So it's a big problem, and Drake and 21 Savage are probably going to have to pay some damages. I fully expect the case to settle because Drake has a lot of money, and the last thing he wants to do is be dragged into a lawsuit like this. But I do see some liability here, and really the question is there a likelihood of confusion? That's the legal standard in a case like this. Is the public going to think that this is legitimately Drake being on the cover of Vogue in a Vogue magazine? Or are they going to think, hey, this is a parody, this is something that's used for an artistic purpose? So depending on which way the winds blow and the courts rule, that's going to determine whether Drake and 21 Savage are going to have to pay money damages in this case.
Does it seem like it didn't get to Drake because he tweeted, "Thanks to Anna Wintour, thanks to Vogue for letting me use this"? Did it seem like nobody sent Drake the memo that they weren't allowed to use this?
Yeah, there's clearly a disconnect here, Christina. Yeah. I don't know where the communication was. You're using a trademark. You're using someone else's likeness, right, in terms of Anna. So big problem here. I don't know if that's Drake running his social media himself, or he's got a team of folks who are doing it. But whoever it is, in terms of the artists, in terms of the lawyers, the social media managers, they got to be talking, because this is a big problem here.
Right. I mean, would it have been, probably not, but would it have been okay if he just recreated the cover of the magazine and not doctored the entire magazine, kind of said that was a parody rather than a trademark issue?
I think that's the defense here, right? You say that it's a parody, it's clearly no one's going to be confused. No one's going to think that this is actually a Vogue magazine. Actually, Drake was on the cover. That's how you win a case like this. But again, if you're using the entire cover and the entire magazine and you're publishing it, I mean, that goes beyond any type of parody that you typically see.
Interesting. All right. Well, let's move over to Tom Girardi. We've been talking about his legal woes for years now, but the California State Bar emphasized the severity of his alleged crimes while acknowledging the mistakes made by not disbarring him sooner after he allegedly embezzled millions of dollars from clients over multiple decades. So it was a 50-page open letter from the State Bar of California, and it said that the handling of the Girardi matters brought to light serious failures in the State Bar's attorney discipline system, failures that have contributed to a lack of confidence in the State Bar's ability to carry out the core responsibility of protecting the public. It went on to say that over the past 40 years, the State Bar opened 205 disciplinary matters about Girardi. Of the 205 matters, approximately 120 involved allegations relating to client trust account violations. The remaining were matters involved ranging from failure to communicate with clients and failure to perform, as well as misrepresentation to courts and clients, among others. How was he able to continue to practice law if you are getting over 200 disciplinary matters over the course of, 4 decades?
Yeah, unbelievable, Christina. And I'm sitting here in Los Angeles. I'm a member of the California State Bar, and I can say that they completely dropped the ball with respect to Tom Girardi. Stealing from your clients is the worst thing you can do as a lawyer. It's usually like an automatic suspension or even a disbarment. So the fact that Girardi had more than 100 complaints and they didn't do anything really raises a lot of questions. And I think the answer is that he had a very cozy relationship with investigators and high-level folks at the California State Bar. He traveled with them, bought gifts for them. He was friends with them. So when they would get a complaint, guess what they would do? They wouldn't act on it. And this is a huge problem for the California State Bar. Not only that, they try to keep these complaints a secret for a long time until media like Us Weekly and other media outlets put pressure on them and even threatened to file a lawsuit to compel the disclosure. So the fact that they, sent this open letter to all the lawyers in California doesn't mean a whole lot to someone like me because their hand was forced.
Right. Does it make you mad?
Does make me mad because, if you're the State Bar, your one job is to regulate lawyers and make sure that they're not taking advantage of the public. And lawyers like me, we already have a bad reputation. People don't like lawyers. And instead of doing their job, do you know what the California State Bar is doing? They've tried to allow non-lawyers to provide legal services. Well, there's plenty of bad lawyers out there already. And you want people who aren't lawyers to take advantage of folks. So shame on the State Bar. Do your job, regulate lawyers, follow up on the complaints, and don't ignore someone just because they're rich and powerful like Tom Girardi.
Definitely. I mean, why do you think that they put this letter out now? Like you said, were they forced to do so?
I think so. I mean, there's been such a huge public outcry, and it was really the LA Times actually here that really kind of broke this story. But there's lawmakers here in Sacramento. Everyone has been up in arms. How could this possibly happen for so many years? Girardi was stealing from folks and they were complaining about it. And the agency that's supposed to make it right did nothing. So this was a huge political mess for the State Bar and the legislatures that oversees it.
Yeah. I mean, will doing this apology letter, will this help any of those people that file these complaints? Or is it just kind of like, okay, here's I messed up. Let's move on.
Yeah, unfortunately, Christian, I think it's too little too late. We know that he's filed bankruptcy. He has dementia. He's under conservatorship. To the extent that the victims get paid what they're owed, it will be pennies on the dollar. So my heart goes out to them. And let's not forget, Tom Girardi represented victims. Something really bad has happened to them. They've lost a loved one. They've been seriously injured. So guess what? They settle for a certain amount of money and he kept the money. So not only have they suffered something terrible in their life, the compensation that they was supposed to make them whole or at least kind of help them move forward with their life was stolen away from them. So really, it's adding insult to injury for these victims.
Such a sad story. It really, really is. You feel so bad for all these people. Well, Neama, thank you so much for breaking down everything legal for us as always. I always learn so much. Thank you so much.
Christina, thanks for having me as always, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week.
All right, guys, keep commenting, keep subscribing. Bye. For more news content and exclusive interviews, make sure to hit the sub, like, and bell button down below and visit usmagazine.com.